another episode of the Imperfect Action Show. I'm your host for today, Stizzle Speaks, and I'm here with the none other than the amazing Lucini. And we're going to be talking about how to get to six figures today. So I'm really excited because who doesn't want to earn more, right? We all want to earn more in our businesses, especially if you're an entrepreneur out here. But the other amazing thing is he's teaching people how to go from 9 to 5 traditional workspaces to becoming their own bosses. So I'm excited to have Lucini here on the podcast. Welcome to the Imperfect Action Show. Happy Friday.
Thank you, Stezo. I appreciate it. I am honored to be here, and yes, I am going to show you how you can be able to make six figures. How I made six figures working as a full-time Army soldier. So let's go.
Love it, love it. And thank you for your service.
It's an honor.
Really,
Appreciate it.
shout out. Thank you for that. So talk to us. Let's kick it off with tell us a little bit about Lucini. Where are you from? Give us a little bit of your background, what you were doing prior to becoming a business coach, and kind of what your world looks like now.
So I came here in 2004 as a refugee. Originally, I am from Monrovia, Liberia. When I first came here, I was in Arizona, and then I moved to Philly. Then I moved to Virginia. So prior to doing what I'm currently doing right now, I was actually in the Army. I was enlisted in the Army. So I started off by being enlisted in the Army, and I realized that I wanted to make a lot more money. So I ended up going to school. I got my degree in computer science. I worked 6 months as a data analyst. I never liked it because I realized I'm more of a people person. I like to be engaging. So I became an officer, artillery officer. And when I became an artillery officer, I realized I was making a lot more money than I was enlisted. So that's when the light bulb came on. I was like, yo, I got to figure out what to do with this money because a lot of people make money or they say what they do is they save the money, but then the money is not working for them. So I had to think about it, and then that's when I started. Initially, the first thing I did was, I started Shopify, and I realized the military is very busy. It's very hard trying to do Shopify. So that's when I started actually, learning different kind of business, digital marketing, ebooks, writing your own book, real estate, all these different businesses, and I picked what was for me, and really is what worked for me was branding myself. And when I branded myself through my book, um, everybody started looking at me in a different way. And then after I came out with my book, then I started teaching people about credit because I had learned how to repair my own credit. And that's another thing we will talk about later on. I taught people skills that I did myself. So, and then when I taught people about credit, I started making a lot more money than I got into the digital space. And then now I'm here as an Army captain with a master's degree. Now it's all about leveraging, right? It's really because I've been in for about 3 years now. So really is looking at, all right, what small, minute issues that I need to fix so I can make more.
Right. Wow, love that. A lot of different hats. Are you a Gemini?
No, I'm not.
Gemini,
Oh,
and like when you were telling your story, I'm like, yep, sounds like me because there's so many different talents. So you wear so many different hats, and being able to say, okay, I'm going to take my experience, take imperfect action on the things that I know, such as learning how to repair my own credit, and teaching that. So talk to me about what was your first book about? Because you mentioned you branded yourself, and that's when people really got an understanding of who you are and how you can assist and help. So what was your first book about?
so this is my first book. I always keep it around my desk. This book was about my will and my determination on I was going to get out of that situation to chase my dream of becoming the number one speaker, which to this day I'm still chasing. Right. I think the reason why I wrote that book was because I was at a point in my life where I was stuck, and I wanted people to know that when I was stuck, I propelled because I had two grand mal seizures where I went into a coma and I almost lost my life, right? And the reason why I didn't quit, I didn't stop doing any of the things that I wanted to do. I still graduated college, commissioned as an officer, was because of that determination, the power of determination. Train your mind to live your calling really is telling someone like you have to train and condition your mind so that you can literally follow your calling. And for me, I believe that God put me on this earth to compete with likes of Eric Thomas, Tony Robbins and Les Brown, as I continue to get better in the entrepreneurship world. So that was what I wanted to talk about. But it also highlight, coming here as a refugee. It also highlight going through emotionally, physically, mentally abusive uncle and parents and all these things that most of us we endure. We don't want to talk about, but I wanted people to kind of understand that the Lucini you see now, I had to go through a lot to get to that person.
Wow. Wow. I mean, you look like you're 20. So, like, that's a lot to go through for such a fabulous young man. But not to, because you don't have to tell us your age, but there's a lot of what I say, age and wisdom is what I hear through you, and understanding that your story is where the impact comes from. And that's what I feel. And that's what resonates with me, is that the story and what you've been through in your life is really what's getting you to this position, in this place of being this person that you are sitting here today and having the power of determination. So what was the light bulb moment for you when you were like, enough is enough? I'm peeling back all the layers and I'm going full throttle on this. Did that have a lot to do with your background in the Army? Because I know they teach you a lot of discipline. Or was it just like, what was that moment where it just clicked and you were ready to go full on?
So it was three, right? First moment was when I had a seizure. When I had two seizures and I was hospitalized, I realized I had to expedite on what I wanted for my life. I didn't know exactly what I wanted for my life, right? That was the first. And what I wanted for my life was I wanted to be a general. And then the second part was when I was a second lieutenant, and I realized that most people in the Army are really they're very condition based. They're not forward thinkers in terms of thinking outside of their scope. And the third thing was when I made more than my boss last year, I told myself the military is not for me because one, all respect, I respect a lot of military seniors, 100%. But as far as making money, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna respect a boss that I get paid more than, and I'm getting paid because I know how to outthink and outsmart him,
Right.
right? So that was the three things that really changed my mindset where I was like, you know what, military is not for me because I'm getting paid more than my boss. So that means that I need to be around people that will further on educate me so I can keep on getting paid and keep on adding value, keep on making a difference in people's life. I don't need to be in a box because that's what most of us we do. We put ourselves, we work at the job and we stay at the job, and guess what, we're making more money outside the job, but we don't want to take that leap of faith to where we align ourselves with people like you or other people that are better than us so we can get to that next level, right? And I think we hurt ourselves when we don't do that.
Absolutely. I agree 1,000%. And what you said in the beginning was so powerful. And I want you to repeat that because I want to write it down because I want to be able to quote you on it and use that. But you said you had to expedite your process, right? To
Yeah.
success.
Yeah.
Repeat
So
that back for me.
I said I had to expedite my part, my I had to expedite my path to success because I realized that in life, you like it. Okay, how do I put it this way? In life, you when certain things happen, right?
Mhm.
When God gives you a calling or you believe that you have a calling, you have to expedite your success towards whatever that calling is. And most of the time we don't, right? And we wonder why we're not where we want to be. It's not because of some magic, it's because you slow down your process, right? That's what you hear a lot of NBA players or a lot of athletes that say, yo, I'm in my prime now. Because you're not
Mhm.
gonna be in your prime forever. So I realized at the age of 24, after I woke up after having being in a coma, I had to sit down with myself and expedite my process and say, what are all the requirements that I need to do to be that person that is going to be one of the top entrepreneurs, top speaker in a decade or in 20 or 30 years, right? So yeah.
I love that. That like literally gave me chills. And speaking to the speakers that you are going to outstage, and I'm going to join you on that journey to the speaker myself. Eric Thomas, he made a point in one of his videos that I saw recently that was like, you don't know when the time is going to come that it's going to be over. It could be after this podcast, it could be after your shower, it could be in 20 years, or it could be in 2 minutes. And so you have to take action now in order to get to the next level of where you want to be. And I think when you said expedite your path to success, that's the key. That's the token for people nowadays, is to understand that whatever it is that you're doing, you have to do so much faster and so much more of to get to the level that you deserve to be at, right? Because we all have a calling. To your point too, is we all have a gift, we all have a calling, and the longer we take to give that gift to the world, we're doing ourselves a disservice, and we're not feeding our passions, and we're not feeding our purpose. So I love that you said that. I'm going to keep that quote with me. Expedite your path to success. So talk to me about, during your transition, what are some of the things that you had to add or change in your routine, like your daily routine or your thought process, to be able to continue to max out every single day that you are getting up and saying, I'm going to be successful as an entrepreneur and a speaker? Like, we hear morning routine is so important. Like, what is Lucini's morning routine and what keeps you going?
So I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not
Please
too.
do.
So I'm going to tell you what really changed my mentality and how I approach things was investing in people, right? And I know like most people might say that is not traditional or whatever, but for me, the first investment I made was actually in ET. That was the
Mhm.
first money I ever spent. I spent $3,000 to join his Game Changer. That was the first money that I spent, right? And when I did that, I did it scared. I was very scared. I didn't know what to expect. And I didn't even know if I wanted to be a speaker. I knew that I admired it. But I always tell people, in order for you, I think David Goggins say this, when you want to change, you have to do things that are going to make you change.
Mhm.
You got to force yourself, because naturally, I was not going to change. The second thing I did, I went to a Tony Robbins conference, which cost about 1,500. Now that's 4,500 I've never spent on another person, right? So now I have all my friends in the military telling me you're stupid, you're dumb. How are you spending on these people that are taking your money and all these things? But the thing about it is, like, I look back now, these people would they was teaching me things that I needed now, right?
Mhm.
Oftentimes we think I need that lesson at this moment. No, you need that. You need to be in that situation at this moment, but you need that lesson years from now, because now I know how to have my own program. I know how to market, and all these things, right? But I learned it earlier, and I can still have access to the course. I can still have access to what they talked about, right? So I think when I invested in ET and Tony Robbins, that really changed. I realized, I was like, oh shoot, okay, now I gotta actually listen to these dudes because they are the best at what they do. So that forced me to where now I had to start thinking, how am I going to adjust this in my military career? Well, the first thing was I couldn't go out as much as I wanted to anymore. It was hard because I was 25 at the time. I wanted to go out. I was single, women, all these things, so I had to excuse me, I had to get to a point where, again, right, I always tell people I had to realize what is more important, right? My vision, my goal that I have for my life, my future wife and my kids, or me living in the moment and me doing things that are not going to benefit them. And I think that's what holds me, right? Because I don't have no wife, I don't have no kids. So I always create goals that I want to attain. So I always tell myself, hey, are your kids going to be proud of this? Is your wife going to be proud of this? And if the answer is no, then I don't do it. So that's how I ended up formulating my patterns. I would come home, I would study what type of businesses that I want to do. I would study what type of things that is going to help me to get to that next level. So that's how everything worked out for me. And it took time, right? Most people think you're going to start a business and it's going to like blow up. No, I mean, I'm going to be honest, some business blow up. It's not true that some business you start 1-2 months, it blow up, right? But the probability of that, it's not it's not going to blow up if you don't have a coach, if you don't have a mentor, if you don't have somebody that knows something better than you. I was
Right.
just talking about this earlier, that anything that you do, right, you always want to have someone that know more about that information than you do. Why? Because they can help. Again, the word I love, expedite. They can help expedite your process where you can be able to see results. So that's how aligning myself with Neil and all these other people, I was able to finally get to a level of understanding, like, all right, this is exactly what I need to do. And this is some of the minute things that I need to change. Now it's easy because I don't have that much like deficiency. I just got a small, minute deficiency, and then, just keep making money for real, for real.
Right. Wow, that was a lot, but that was good because you said some things in there that I think for sure the audience, whether watching or going to watch this playback, um, you made it about your why, right? And a purpose. And your why was, I want to be able to invest in other people. So you took the investment, which was essentially investment in yourself through other people, but you invested in these two people, Tony and ET alike, to learn the skill set, to get in the room, power and proximity, but you also paid a price. And so you paying that price allowed you to pay attention and take that information thereafter. And then the other piece of that why, which was so incredible, and I don't think that many people think of this, is you talked about what the future looked like your wife and your children. What decisions am I going to make now that's going to impact the relationship that I have or lack thereof with my wife and my kids? And man, that's beautiful because you took it outside of yourself so that you could commit to doing the things that were purposeful and intentful. So I love that. And now, does that come with the morning routine? Like, do you get up and meditate in the first half and then drink your water and then get on your computer and work for 15 minutes? Or like, what does that look like for you?
Again, honestly, I don't have a morning routine. I
Okay.
have,
I
I
don't
have,
either.
I have this book called Eat the Frog, right?
Uh-huh.
Brian Tracy, I believe. Yeah, Brian Tracy, and he basically talks about what are your top priorities, and
Mm,
that's what so Eat the Frog is a very good book for people like me that have issues, because I haven't been diagnosed with ADHD, but I can't fully concentrate at one thing for a long period of time. The
right.
best way for me to do that is by knowing, like, hey, okay, I have this, I need to do this. This is very important. So I have a list of things that needs to be done, right? So if I try to create a morning routine and all these things, I'm going to get bored and I'm going to feel discouraged, and then I'm not going to want to do something and do anything, and I'm going to be in my room or here watching anime, because I would be doing that. So I don't do that. I look at my goals as tasks, and I say, hey, I need to make sure I talk to this person because this person is going to help me with XYZ. So that's how I do. That's how I am successful. It doesn't work for everyone, right? Some people need morning routines. Some people make up their bed. Some people, like, I don't do any of that. I just look at what is important to me and what do I need to do that's gonna take. I kind of use that goal, like my wife and kids.
Mhm.
That's like my go-to goal, because that is a goal that's not. And when I do have a wife and kids, I'm gonna use something that's not achievable like currently right now at where I'm at. Because I was listening to Matthew McConaughey. He always says that he said in one of his speech that he uses goals that he know he can't reach, or he got to try harder to reach. So I try to adopt that mentality where I know, well, I want to get married and have kids, so I'm gonna use them since I don't have them now. So
Mhm.
it's gonna push me. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. And the honesty, really, the honesty is what we need because we're in a time where entrepreneurship, to your point earlier, some people think it's so easy to just turn on the lights, be an entrepreneur, and make six figures. And it takes a lot of work and it's not as easy, but not everything works the same for everyone. And I share the same similarity. Like, I don't have a morning routine. The one thing that I do every morning is drink my coffee because I need my coffee. But other than that, it's kind of like, instead of a morning routine, what are some of your non-negotiables, the things that you have to do on a daily basis? Like, I think of a non-negotiable like brushing your teeth, which now that I got braces 2 days ago, I have to do because it's like even crazier. But what's your non-negotiables, like the things that you have to do in the business to continue to be successful and make, 6+ figures?
I love the non-negotiable. I use that a lot too. Yeah.
What are some of yours?
Oh, my non-negotiable, in order, I have to keep on meeting different people in different space. Connecting is very key. That's my non-negotiable. Every month, I have to meet people that are like today. Actually, when I went pick up my car, the owner of the dealership, I was talking to his employee about business credit and credit, And he just so happened to hear me talk about it. So he invited me out to talk to him because he wants to learn more on how he can be able to have business credit, and use the bank's money. Because I was telling him I don't use my own capital, I use the bank's capital, and if I can't use the bank's capital, I try to figure out how I can get my credit to that level. So that's always non-negotiable. Always meeting people that are better than me, if not on the same mindset at wavelength I'm on, so we can be talking. Another non-negotiable is traveling, right? Which is one of the reasons why I'm getting out to military, because I realized the military has kept me in this hole where the people that I'm talking to, they're just thinking about, hey, I'm making $1,000, I'm okay. For me, I'm not. For me, I want to be a millionaire. The goal is to be a millionaire, right? In order for you to be a millionaire, you gotta either surround yourself with people that make 500 or a million, or you gotta go to events and all these things. So you're not gonna be you can't take yourself to a millionaire. You can't. It's just because you're not thinking like that, right? So you gotta expose yourself to people that are better than you. I think another non-negotiable is, besides traveling, is man, it's really reading, right? I hate reading. And you might listen, I do. I hate reading, but I've read all these books. Why? Because reading exposes you to things that, you wouldn't know. Reading increases your mind to a lot of different things that you will be like, oh my God, I didn't even know I knew about this. Like, I learned so much about marketing and I forgot one of the books. Oh yeah, it's Alex Amosi book. I learned how to pitch, how to say, hey, I have 10 XYZ limited time only, right? So reading is so important, and a lot of times when I'm bored, and yes, because I don't like reading, so I read when I'm bored, and I'm just being honest, right? Everybody has what works for them, what don't work for them, but when I'm bored, I order like a copy of like maybe 5 to 10 books. I ask some of my entrepreneur friends that read a lot, and then I'll start reading it. But this is the hack. I learned this from, I think, Jay Shetty. I believe that's his name. And I don't read a book. Like, let's say if I was to buy this book, I don't read the entirety of this book. I open this book and I look at the chapters and I read the chapters in the book that pertain to me, that can help me go to that next level. You see, the problem with a lot of us, when we read the entirety of the book. Why are you reading the entirety of the book? You don't need all that information. ET always said information is valuable. You don't need a lot of information to take you to a next level. You need one information can actually change your life. So I adopted that mindset, and I got, now when I read books, people are like, yo, you've read all these books. Technically, I'm not gonna lie, I've not read it from page to page, but guess what? I have read the necessity of what I need to read that's going to help me to make $1 million on that book. And if I want to read, I refer to that book. So I always tell people, don't get in the habits of reading all from page 0 to page 362. You are wasting your time. Read what is the problem in your life right now that you want more knowledge on. Learn about that. Take that information and implement that, because that is going to help you to become successful than sitting there and reading the book and say, oh yeah, I've read all 365 pages of David Goggins' book. All right, bro. Okay. You want a cookie for that? But anyway, yes.
Right, exactly. And it's interesting too. I just had a thought as we were talking about reading. In school, they teach us reading is fundamental, right? And then we're taught to dislike reading because they give us books to read during the summer. And it's like, no one wants to read during the summer because the summer is the time where you want to spend with your friends. So it's so crazy how this system of school is set up to make us hate the things that we should love, because those are the things that teach us the most. And I agree with you. Reading really teaches you a lot. And so this isn't sponsored, but Headway app is an app that someone introduced me to. It's Headway, HEAD. Headway app. That's a great app for getting summaries of books. So to your point, you don't have to read a book from front to back to get the information that's valuable. Some books, you read the whole thing. It's important. You'll get the information you need. There's some books you can skim, but this one summarizes books. And I love this app because I'm able to really get through things quicker, because I'm also someone who's not like, yes, let me pick up a book and it's exciting, but I know it's something that I need to do, one, to expand my vocab, and two, just expand the knowledge. So super dope. So non-negotiables: reading, connecting with people, building relationships that are of value and that are intentional, get with the like-minded people and the people that know more than you do, and then travel so you can see the world. Because I think, to your point, traveling allows you to open and expand your mindset to the possibilities that are out here outside of our direct circle. So that was all great. So to transition a little bit, what do you think holds people back from making six figures plus? And then, is $100,000, why is that the tipping point for six figures? Like, so many people think $100,000, six figures, like that's the ceiling, right? Where it's like, oh, 6 figures is $999,999 before you hit a million. So some of your thoughts. That's a two-part question. What holds people back from getting there, and why is our ceiling kind of like that 100K mark?
So what holds people back? I'm gonna be honest. Is even think. So what's 600K, right? And I'm gonna go further to the 999,000, right? So what hold people back from six figures? What held me back was even thinking that you can be able to do it without school, right? Most people think that I need to go get a job, I need to work a couple years at that job, and I should make six figures, right? Because we're so conditioned with the traditional mindset. Trust me, take it from a guy that has a master's degree and army captain, right? That's what we're taught, right? But I think what hold a lot of people back is the job aspect of it. I need a job to be able to accomplish this.
Mm-hmm.
It's not I need to learn a skill and I need to be proficient in that skill. And even if I don't know how to market, I can have somebody teach me or I can pay somebody to do marketing for me, right? So I think that's the first cap that holds a lot of people back. And and not forget consistency, right? It took me 2 years just to make six figures. I did
Mm,
it for 2 years. So that's huge. Most people are not willing to be consistent, but then I tell a lot of people, you're not willing to be consistent, but you are consistent at your job, but you don't believe in yourself that much that your business is gonna make six figures. Come on, man. Let's be real. You have to you have to believe in yourself more than anybody does, period. Right? Because people are naturally not going to believe in you, you know. So I think that's like the consistency, the not being able to do it without a job, and then just not being able to say, hey, you know what, I suck at marketing, but maybe I can hire someone to actually help me do my Facebook, and I don't mind paying this person because I'm seeing results, right? So that's what keeps us at 100K. Now, what stopped us from making a million is reality, right? One of my mentor, Neil, he said this. He said, in order for you to make $1 million, it's all about numbers.
mm-hmm.
Making money is about numbers game. We don't believe that making money is all about 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4. I think as you get, I've been an entrepreneur for 3 years, right? And I was talking to someone about this before I came. I was talking to you. As you get up there, you realize it becomes easier, but it's just, more math. How many people do I need to do to purchase this? How many people do I need to do this? And then what marketing do I need to change? So when he was telling me, he was like, hey, bro, if you want to make $1 million, first, you have to make sure you pay your bills and all these things that you don't have to worry about your bills. So when you make money from your business, you can invest. You got to
Right.
run ads because more people have to know who you are. But I think we get to that point where we're making maybe 150, 200 or a quarter million and we are content, right? Because human being, we get content.
Mm-hmm.
Some people get to a point like the guy I was talking to who makes 4 million in his brick and mortar business. He said he got to a point where he was making $1 million, 2 million, and he was content before he made 4 million. And he's been doing this for 8 years. So we get content. But I think part of meeting other people that are better than you, part of humbling yourself and asking a 22-year-old that makes 4 million or 8 million, you making a quarter million questions or joining his program, all that is bettering yourself, like I mentioned earlier. And that's what keep us from making the higher number or looking up different things that can help contribute towards our success. For me personally, a lot of people, for me, I don't really DM people. So
Mm-hmm.
I have other people that does that for me, but I have to pay, right? Because I rather talk doing this. I rather do that. I rather do that with my clients than sit here and text in and doing all that stuff. I can pay somebody else to do that. But if I was not trying to make $1 million, I would say, oh, I need to do that. But that's time, that's wasting my time when I could be more productive on maybe learning how to be better at speaking, maybe
Mhm.
learning how to take my book to a different school and get a speaking engagement that's going to pay me $1,500 to $3,000 just for talking for 45 minutes.
Right.
Right. So it's looking at those gaps and seeing, okay, what can I outsource and what do I keep in-house, me personally, and but I can still be able to make money. And most of us, we don't do that. What we do is we just stay stagnant. We don't meet new people. We don't try to connect with other people that are better than us, or we're too prideful. We don't want to be around younger 21-year-old and we're 30 and they're better than us at that particular thing.
Hmm. Yeah,
That's what I think.
for sure, for sure. It's again power and proximity. You get around the right people, you're going to get the result that you're looking for. And so I love that you made all those points, which are great, because we do tend to get in a position where we kind of hit the ceiling. I believe it might have been David Shands when I was watching one of his podcasts, and he said, when I made 1 million, that was great, it was a good feeling, but then when I made two, it was no different than making one, so why would I stop? It's just, you just get better at what you're doing and keep going, because that kind of high goes away. But it really peels back to, if you're doing it for the right purpose, you're going to continue the journey, right? If you're doing it for the wrong purpose, you're going to chase the money. And I think for me, what I've come to learn as having 2 decades in management and leadership is people work for people, they don't work for brands. And so if you can adopt a brand awareness that's about speaking to who you are as a person, being genuinely, authentically yourself, your brand or your product or whatever you're selling is going to sell itself. So it's just, don't max out and don't get comfortable. It's like, not don't max out, don't get comfortable, max out and go higher and go greater and go beyond to make more and elevate and get out of this mindset that 6 figures equals 100,000. It's like, yes, 100,000 is 6 figures, but there's so much more. There's so much more to it. So I love that. And what do you find is like, and helping your clients today? Talk to us a little bit about the business that you do and helping outside of speaking. Like if someone, like you help other clients make 6+ figures in their business, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So so the typical clients that I get are people that are in the military, people that have a regular 9 to 5,
Mhm.
and people that want to start a business, or people that want to, scale their business. So what I do is, first thing, I have this sheet. Me and a person, we talk for about 2 hours, right? Because I always tell people, I want to know your mind. Where's your mind, right? Because a lot of people want to make money, but a lot of people don't have the right mindset. And I'll tell them straight, I'm like, look, are you willing to have the right mindset? Because there's gonna come a time where you're not gonna be able to make money. I had a client of mine, and she's on my page, and she literally called me one day crying. I was like, what are you crying for? She was like, this is so hard. I'm like, good, good. She was mad. She hung up the phone on me. I called her. She got mad. And the reason why I said, and after talking to her, now she's doing great. She's hosting, she wrote her book. She's hosting her own, I think it's private her book launch. She's hosting, right? But the thing about it is, what she didn't realize is, I told her, I have to put you out there into the world. I have to brand you as a person. Well, people are not going to buy from you. People are not going to want to spend a lot of money on you when there are not articles, or there's nothing about you online. You have no credibility. So if you have no credibility, how is people going to spend money on you? And that's what I had to make her understand. So a lot of times I get people in my business and I ask them, hey, in order for us to start making or help you make a lot of money, you have to create a digital products. You have to create a book. You have to create something tangible that people can read online or they can have in their hand, because that is going to set you apart, or that is going to set you out for is gonna people gonna know, okay, this person got this book, or this is this person, Lucini has this ebook about credit, about his life and all this. So once you have that, now we go into marketing, right? We go into, how are we scaling it? So are you running ads? Are you, doing webinars, right? Are you like, what are some of the things that are you podcasts, right? You need to go on podcasts. You need to get exposure. People need to know who you are. You need to start talking about some of the things that you do. So we assess all those things. And then once we find out within your budget or what they can be able to do, then we do that. And then the last out, it's not really last, but what I tell all my clients is consistency. I had a client, she was trying to get money through her business credit to be able to start trucking, but then she quit it towards the end. And I
Mm-hmm.
was like, how you got the money and you quit it? And you already took out a loan. Are you going to do it or not? So some people they're scared. And which is why you need a mentor, or which is why you need someone that is better at something than you. So eventually I started talking to her, and now she's doing phenomenal well. She has her truck. She's driving her own truck. And before the end of this year, she should pay off the truck. And she also have her ebook that she can be able to sell and make money while she's driving her truck. Because I told her, you have all these experience in the military driving trucks, and you got a truck. Why don't you create an ebook, something digital that people are going to be able to purchase? So it's a long process, but it's mostly really branding yourself. Because what I realized that worked heavily for me was people respect me more when they can type up Lucini Donza. Oh, he's an Army officer. Oh, he's on Google. He has his own Google panel. Oh, he has all these articles about him. He's been featured here. That's what works for me. And I promise you this, nobody would invest in me if they couldn't research about me. We
Mm-hmm.
live in a digital space. People love knowing who you are outside of just your Instagram. I
Right.
had a client, and I don't want to prolong it, but I had a client that literally emailed me at info@lucini.com and literally told me that, hey, I want to join your program, but just so you know, I had to do my due diligence on you to make sure you wasn't a scammer. And I made sure all these, and I was like, what? But you know what that told me? That told me I need to put out more article. That
Right.
told me I need to get a more podcast. So I need to be doing more of these. Why? Because now, before you know, in the next 2 years, it's gonna be a lot of it. So they're not gonna have any choice but to invest in me. All this is investment. And that's why I tell my clients, the more you do this, the more potential clients are gonna have less ease. They're gonna be able to pay you 500, 1,000, 2, 3, 20, however much you charge for your service.
Right. Absolutely. Love that. That was awesome. And in terms of someone who might be watching, they're currently in a 9 to 5, they know they want to transition out. What are some simple steps, like let's say the top 3 steps that they need to take to prepare for a transition into full on entrepreneurship coming from a 9 to 5?
First thing is you got to figure out, like, you got to brand yourself, right? Like if you like, I'm gonna take you for example. How long you been working? You said 20 years in leadership.
Yeah, 2 decades, and I've been entrepreneur for this is my second year.
Okay, so 2 decades, right? So you need to take what you learned from your job and what you learned through your experience. You got to put it out there in the world, right? That's the first thing you need to do. And then the second thing is you got to figure out. You have to do your research on, is your money in this, right? If it's $1 billion industry, I always tell, if it's $1 billion and $1 trillion industry, do it. I don't care if it's 100 people doing it, because guess what? Even if you make 0.1%, you still can end up making anywhere from 6 figures to $1 million in like 2-3 years or even a year, right? So that's the first thing. When I started with credit, there was so many guys doing it. I didn't care about it. I still did it, and I made a lot of money. Digital products is about to be I think $1 trillion industry, right? So it doesn't matter who does it. You just have to put out more confidence. So the second thing is, once you understand what is it you have experience in as a 9 to 5, right? You put information out there with your name on it. Second is you got to figure out, okay, so I have an ebook, how you going to market it? Or if it's people that, like, let's say if it's $1 billion industry, don't be discouraged. Everybody's doing it. You start now figuring out, how can I separate myself from Stizzo, right? How can I separate myself from Lucini? So you add your own twist in it. Like, a lot of people didn't have 2 grandma seizures and was in a coma and end up being a military officer and making 6 figures, on verge of making millions of dollars, right? Nobody have that story, but I do, right? So you add your twist into it. And the third thing is you have to get a mentor. You have to get a mentor. And the reason why I say this is because when I first started out, I was doing it by myself. Yes, I was making money, but guess what? There were things that I wish I would have known that I didn't know, right? So when I got a mentor and when I joined a mentorship and I aligned myself with so many people that thought like me or better than me and that were younger than me, making a lot of money, I realized that making money was all numbers game and making money was all, leveraging and credibility, right? Using what you actually know and put it out there into the world to be able to teach and coach people so they can get better at it. Pretty much, it wasn't that hard that I needed. I got my master's because it's personal. I didn't get my master's because I wanted to, right? So those are three things. Those are three things I'll tell people. Put your ebook out. Make sure that it's a marketable. What you're doing is marketable, that you can be able to make money, right? And then last but not least, making sure you hire somebody that is better, maybe 10 times or more better than you at what you're doing. So that way, as they're progressing, they're also reaching out. They can be able to impact you. And then that way you can be able to progress.
For sure. Love that. 3 strong strategies right there, y'all. So if you're watching and you're sitting at your desk right now, you're typing away, or you're on the phone taking them customer service calls at Tesla or whatever, and you're thinking about branching out, it's what skills are you learning on your job right now that you can then teach? Because I'm someone who I always preach, it's okay to have a 9 to 5, because I'm that person who believes we need people that are working in order to survive in this world. Like, I needed someone that created this iMac to be able to present this podcast and get all this great value from Lucini to you guys. So we need people who are in the workforce doing the work. But whatever you decide to do in that 9 to 5 space, understand that you have to make it work for you as well, and not, shortchange yourself and say, I'm just going to show up, clock in, do the job, and go home. Like, what are you learning? Is it intentional? And if you're sitting there in that 9 to 5 space and you're thinking about taking on this journey of entrepreneurship, know that we all have a gift. You have a gift right now, and that's perfectly fine to own your gift, but create a plan. Don't just turn off the lights on that 9 to 5 and go straight into entrepreneurship. Create a plan so that you have a good foundation and that you have a solid way to get to the next step. And another solid way, like Lucini said, is get a great mentor. That is key. You cannot do it alone. You can. It's going to take a lot damn longer. So don't do it alone. So I appreciate that. Those 3 tips were awesome. So let everyone know where they can find you. So all of my 9 to 5ers right now looking to transition into entrepreneurship or looking to do both and be great at both. Where can they find you? Where can they get some more information on Lucini?
You can find me at Lucini, Lusene, number 2, Motivate, Motivate, on Instagram, and Lucini to Motivate on TikTok. But I will highly suggest this. Just type my name and go follow me. There's a lot of scammers out there that will pose as me. I don't DM anyone that I don't personally know. So do not have someone following you and then say you want to do Bitcoin or crypto. I do not do any, because a lot of people I'm sorry, I have to say this. So in my bio, it says I do not trade. I don't do Bitcoin. I don't do any crypto. Right. So that's it. Lucini to Motivate. Everything else is a scam.
Yes. Very important point, because now we're in this digital age and the world has gone mad on the internet. And so even I see it, because I follow some real heavy hitters like Neo. Brendan's in his program. That's his mentor too. And like, now that I have these different people that I'm following, all the fake profiles show up and start to pop up. So be careful, vet your social media pages. Make sure you look for comments and engagement on the page. That's how you can know if it's that person or not. But definitely reach out to Lucini at Lucini to Motivate.
Yes.
Lucini to Motivate on IG. Listen, that was impactful, man. You got me pumped up. I'm like, all right, what do I need to go write right now? What ebook do I need to do next? Ready to work. So thank you so much for taking a moment on the Imperfect Action Show. Your host, Izzo Speaks, filling in for Brendan Boyd. Lucini, thank you very much. Good luck with everything. Y'all, we'll see you on the next episode of Imperfect Action Show. Have an amazing weekend. Happy Friday.
Peace.